Hello everyone, welcome to Theme 1 of GCSE Edexcel Business. This is it's pretty much the introduction to Theme 1 really, so there's not a great deal of high-level content in here, but it is kind of that introductory unit, so it gives you a bit of an understanding of what an entrepreneur is and what business is all about. So this one shouldn't be a very long one. This is the first of 5 videos in Theme 1, and there's obviously also 5 videos for Theme 2 as well. They're all on the channel, so get onto the channel, make sure you subscribe and have a look through those. My advice would be, as always with any of these, grab a bit of paper, big bit of A3 paper, and make notes as you go through, potentially pausing at different points, rather than just watching it blindly, because the chances are, as much as I appreciate you watching it, not very much of it's going to stick in your long-term memory if you don't do anything with that information. So let's get started. The first topic is the dynamic nature of business, and it's mainly just about why new business ideas come about and how new business ideas come about. So obviously a student doing GCSE would study this right at the beginning, so it's a bit more of a basic introduction. So if we start with why new ideas come about, there's a few reasons. The first is changes in technology. So we've all seen so many different business ideas come about in the last maybe 15, 20 years. What we've also seen is quite a lot of business ideas disappear. Take, for example, one of the most common examples you would use when studying this is businesses like Netflix with streaming technology. That's allowed, that increase of technology in the internet and the capability of the internet and the speed of the internet has allowed a lot of different business ideas to come about, not least the fact that you can stream TV and music. And what that's led to, as well as new ideas, it's led to some businesses and some products disappearing from the market if the technology has been replaced. So technology is a big one. And I think obviously another one that is going to continue to have a massive impact on business over the next however long. Changes in consumer wants is a big factor as well. People just want different things, whether that's trends, whether that's things like fashion, for example, whether that's, in terms of lifestyle. I remember thinking back to when I was in sixth form, everyone wore kind of baggy, straight jeans. And then very much when I was at university, everyone switched to skinny jeans. And I think what I've started to notice over the last few years is that trend starting to reverse. So jeans are getting baggier, and it's going to happen again. Give it 10 years, everyone will be wearing skinny jeans again. It's these kind of fashion trends, these changes to what consumers want, cause new ideas to come about. Even if sometimes the new ideas are just things that were fashionable 15 years ago that are coming back again. My mum says this all the time. She says all the time that the clothes that she wore when she was in her kind of 20s and 30s are all kind of coming back around and have been back around a few times. So changes in consumer wants can create new ideas for businesses. The other key factor is, and I hinted at this before, is when we talked about streaming, some products become obsolete. So for example, the word obsolete means they're outdated or no longer in use. That creates opportunities for new products to potentially need to replace them. In terms of how new ideas come about, well, there's two main ways really. There's original ideas and then there's adapting existing ideas. So the difference between these two terms is the difference between invention and innovation. Invention is where you create a new idea. Innovation is where you adapt and improve an existing idea. Now, the most successful businesses will hopefully do a little bit of both. You take Apple, for example. Apple have come up with plenty of original ideas. For example, the first iPhone was an original idea. For certainly for them, it wasn't like they didn't invent the phone, of course. When they produced the iPod in the early 2000s, that was an original idea for them with their MP3 player. But then a lot of their success has actually come from their ability to adapt their existing ideas and make them better. So we're on, iPhone 16, 15 now? And so you can see that obviously they've been able to take that product and turn it into something slightly better. And if you compare the original iPhone to the most recent iPhone, you'll see a vast, vast difference. Primarily because of what we mentioned earlier, the changes in technology. So how do you come up with these ideas? Brainstorming could be one. It sounds a little bit basic, really, just trying to come up with ideas by sitting down and trying to come up with ideas, but it's really, really common and it does work. People have got quite creative ideas. It could be through observation, so seeing how something is done currently and potentially making changes to it or coming up with better ways to do it. Or it could come out of market research, which we will talk about a little bit more in a different video. In terms of risk and reward, which is 1.1.2, it's mainly looking at the different risks that a business, when a person starts a business, when an entrepreneur starts a business, what are the risks to them and what are the potential rewards? Now, no rewards really come without some level of risk. But in terms of business, the main risk, of course, is that a business fails. That, I think statistically speaking, you're looking at about 40-50% of businesses in the UK fail within the first 3 years. And so it's not a foregone conclusion that you're going to go into business and suddenly become a millionaire. If it was that easy, everyone would do it. So business failure is obviously one of the primary risks. In terms of a more personal risk, that can lead to financial loss. So that could be the funds that the individual who started the business has invested. If you put 20 grand into starting a business and the business doesn't work, you're going to lose the 20 grand. So that financial loss is quite a significant risk. And generally speaking, that lack of security. Now that can come from a few different ways, really. I have this conversation with my students every time I teach this, and I say, well, why do I teach business instead of running a business? And one of the big reasons from my perspective is I'm not actually that much of a risk taker. And the idea of leaving a job where I have a secure salary, a good salary, and security in terms of a permanent contract and all of those things that come along with that, I've got a fairly secure work-life balance. I know when I'm going to be at work. I know when I'm going to be at home. I know when the school holidays are. To trade all of that for what potentially could go really, really well, but also potentially could fail, there's a lack of security that comes with it, which is obviously a big risk when starting a business. There are, of course, lots of rewards, though. Business success, the success of something succeeding, is obviously one of those. Providing two things. It provides a sense of achievement, also provides a boost to self-esteem. So, of course, if someone is a success in a business or in any walk of life, really, that's going to obviously be a reward. There's obviously the financial gain as well. Much as we can talk about financial loss, there's obviously going to be financial gain for a business. Potentially, they can make money. You think about some of the richest people in the world, and the vast majority of those are entrepreneurs of some description. And then the other big kind of motivating factor and potential reward is the ability to have independence and control. So being able to control your own schedule, being able to control decisions that you make for your business is a big potential reward for being your own boss and starting your own company. Now, of course, sometimes it's not as easy as that. Certainly if you're starting a new business, you're probably going to be putting a lot of work into it at the very beginning. So the ability to control your own schedule at the start is probably going to be quite difficult. But as a business grows and as you start employing more staff, you can start to potentially get other people to do certain parts of the job for you. The last topic in 1.1 is 1.1.3, which is the role of enterprise and the purpose of businesses, the purpose of business activity, and what an entrepreneur is. It's a term I've used already in this video. If you are watching this, you probably already have revised this content or studied this content, but I will repeat it anyway for the benefit of anyone who maybe hasn't, is looking ahead. Why do businesses exist? Well, there's a few reasons. The first is to provide goods and services, which obviously I think goes without saying. Goods being the physical items that you can buy, services where you pay someone to do something for you, where there's no physical good involved. That's the main reason businesses exist. It's the main reason I go to a car wash, because I want them to provide a service. It's the main reason I go to Tesco, because I want them to provide me with goods. And that links to the meeting customer needs. If I've got something that I want, if I've got something that I need, a business is going to be able to provide that for me. And then the third one is adding value. This is a really important key term because it's a really important link, especially if you're writing an exam answer. The ability to say more than just saying leads to increased sales, leads to increased profit. Adding value is a really good factor to bring in there. So adding value is what a business does to justify the increased selling price. So if they take a t-shirt that costs £5 in materials, what is it they're doing to justify selling it for 15 or 20? And there's a whole range of ways you can add value. It could be through providing convenience. So for example, if you go to a restaurant, yeah, you're going to pay more than the meal is worth, but because of the added value from that comes from the fact that they cook it for you, they bring it out to your table, they clean up after you, they provide all the cutlery. There's a whole range of things that they do to provide levels of convenience. Branding can be a big factor. You chuck a Nike tick on a product or the word Supreme, and it's suddenly going to be worth significantly more money. Quality can be a big factor that can add value as well. If something is of a really high quality, or design, that can add value, that can justify an increased selling price. And if it has a unique selling point, that will also add value. A unique selling point being something that makes that product stand out against competitors. So who are entrepreneurs? Well, an entrepreneur is someone who demonstrates enterprise, and enterprise is the ability to take risks. We talked about risk already in 1.1.2, and show initiative. And by that we mean being able to turn a risk into a viable business idea. There are plenty of really unskilled people who can take risks, but being successful with a risk is the skill of enterprise. And what do these entrepreneurs do? Well, they've got a few roles within business. They will typically be, certainly in a small business, and remember theme 1 is all about small businesses, they'll be the people who will make decisions, they'll be taking those risks, and they'll be organizing the resources. And the resources could be things like the physical resources, like buying in materials and organizing production, but also managing the human resources as well, the staff and the members of staff who work for the company. So that is 1.1, pretty short introduction theme. Obviously, it gets quite a bit more specific moving on from here, but this is the kind of foundational knowledge that you need before studying the kind of the real content of GCSE business. Hopefully you found this useful. There's a few resources in the description below, and obviously links to the other videos as well. So yeah, if you've got any questions or if there's anything you're not sure about, please don't hesitate to chuck a comment in the comment section, and I will happily answer any questions I see. Thank you very much.